Hey everyone, Selena here. Selena Vaca Crochet. It's Friday night. That means we're going to be crocheting along together. I've got something here that I'm going to be working on, so you're welcome to do the same. Come on over, say hey, say hello, tell me where you're viewing from, whatever you're working on. Go on ahead and let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear, I'd love to see. I'm here to work on another sample of the Granny Stitch backpack. I'm going to tell you more about the yarn that I'm using and what I'm doing. But I first and foremost just wanted to tell you about this pattern because it is out, it is ready. And I just wanted to go over some details because I think it's a pretty exciting pattern and I don't want you guys to miss out on it. Okay. All right. So I've got all the details in the video description for this. So the link to this pattern is going to be there. So after this live, go on over, click around, all that kind of stuff. All right. So the Granny Stitch backpack, love bags. I mean, if you guys have been following me for more than a day, if you guys have been here for longer than a day, you'll know that I love crocheting bags. And another thing that I super love is Granny Squares and the Granny Stitch. So for the last couple of years, I've just kind of been obsessively just seeing where I can use the Granny Stitch and how I can use Granny Squares to make things that I love. So yeah, so it's backpack season. I think in the crochet world, I think it's backpack season just because in my mind, it's like here, it's starting to get warmer. Our market season is kicking up here. And so for market season for me, there's lots of reasons why I need more bags because I go to the market and I get lots of different things. And I like backpacks because typically whenever I have a crochet bag, depending on what I'm doing, I also have my purse. So sometimes my crochet bag is not always my main bag purse. So I like the backpack because it goes on each shoulder. It's on my back. I don't have to worry about, things falling out or, it kind of getting in the way. So it's kind of a comfortable style for me. Also, I have tight old lady shoulders. And so whenever I can evenly distribute the work that they're doing, like with a backpack, that's my jam. So I super dig that. All right. It looks like quite a few of you guys are here. I'm going to say hello to you in just a minute. So kind of keep that going. Also, any questions you guys have about the Granny Stitch backpack, let me know and I'll go on ahead and answer those as long as I'm here live. And if you're on the replay, I'll get to them when I see them. I promise. Okay. So this backpack uses, of course, the Granny Stitch. So it's that stitch that we classically see in the Granny Square, right? So this is not a Granny Square. That's not what's happening here. It's not that square motif, but it's elements of that stitch. And it is worked in joined rounds like a Granny Square, but it doesn't increase in that square shape. I love that the seam for this is very specifically straight and on one side. So the pattern instructions for this help with that. Typically, whenever I work a Granny Square or the Granny Stitch, I like to have all of the fabric have one right side and one wrong side. And there's some pros and cons to that. But just so that I'm telling you guys about this pattern and, the fun features, that's one of them. And the reason that was so important for me, or there's a few reasons that was important for me. One, if you're going to be using a yarn that is self-striping or has a really long color effect, I didn't want that to pool in any kind of weird way. I didn't want to see any sort of, sharp contrast in terms of where you're joining and things like that. And I also wanted the instructions to be really straightforward. Typically with a pattern like this, the seam travels in some way diagonally. And I didn't want there to be any confusion about how to finish off the pattern that way so that you could put the drawstring in it. So all of the instructions, whenever you follow them, everything lines up in a really perfect way. And that way you can use whatever yarn you want, even if it's, a yarn that is self-striping or has, really short color repeats and it's really splotchy. No matter what kind of yarn color you're using, It should be highlight really nicely just because of how this pattern is constructed. So I really try to pay careful attention to things like that. And that way, it may look like a pretty straightforward, simplistic pattern. It is, but there's elements like that built into it that will just help you make the best fabric and the best bag possible. All right, so the last thing that I want to tell you guys about the construction, and I talked about this a few weeks ago when I was telling you guys that I made this pattern, is that this bag has 2 drawstring strap options. Now, the first one is an oldie but a goodie. It creates this really thick, dense fabric that I think works really nice as straps. You can see just how thick it is. You can even make it a little thicker if you want. So if you want it to be a little wider, totally easy to adjust that. I give instructions so that you can measure your body and you can make straps that are going to fit your body. No more of this small, medium, large, or child, adult, or anything like that. There are so many different body shapes and sizes. So, I could be an adult with a short torso. I can be a child with a long torso. So there isn't any kind of ambiguous language like that. There's very specific ways to measure, very specific instructions to make those measurements, and that way it fits your body. So this is, again, an oldie but a goodie strap. I've used this before, and so part of me is like, man, it's so good, I have to use it again. It's just so good. But then part of me is like, but I want something different. So there are 2 strap options. This is just one of them. Let's see. I took off this one because I did both. But the other one is a little more loose. It's a little more lacy. It's still very sturdy. And it has a completely different construction than this one. This one starts with length, and this one works into the length. So this one you can measure as you go, and this one you get that measurement off the bat, and then you just add to it. So 2 completely different kinds of straps, and I think that they are both durable. They're both really cute. Goose agrees. Somebody's outside. Oh my gosh, he's just loud. He can't help it. He has one volume and it's yelling. So we have 2 strap options. So you can go with the one that you like best. You can even make both of them if you want and just kind of see which one you like best. But the instructions do sew to the bag. So you can kind of test them out. You don't have to sew them to the bag. You can use something. You can just kind of, not sew, but like do kind of like a whip stitch and tie them into place and test them out a little bit. That's what I do. I cheat a little bit sometimes. Like that way it's not in use, but I'm kind of checking it out. So you can do something like that just to make sure, you're putting on the strap that you like the best. So there you have it. There you have it. All right, let me see who's here and what you guys are saying. It looks like Maribel is here. Hello, Jessica Elliott is here. Here, let me make you bigger so we can all see you, Jessica Elliott. There you are. So good to see you. Maribel says, awesome bag. Thank you so much. Sophie is here. Diana is here. Joanne is checking in from Philadelphia. And you've got some friends here checking in with you. Maribel says, I love a straight line, so that's cool. Yeah, that's what I was saying about this bag. So this bag, the fabric for the bag is reversible until you get to a certain point, and then it tells you, okay, now this is gonna designate the right side of the fabric, but it's towards the end and it's very clear. But the fabric itself for this granny stitch, you're turning, and that's keeping your seam nice and straight, and that way it's going to be hidden and tucked away off to the side, and so it's not going to travel and really make those joins and those new rounds of work, especially in terms of like different colors. It's not going to make that very prominent. Joanne, I'm new at making anagram and granny squares. Well, if you dig this bag, if you think it's something that you want to try out, I'm just an email away. If you have any questions, my email is on the front page of every pattern, so definitely check that out. Christine. Hi, Christine. Still crochet newbie, currently knitting lapgan for my mother-in-law, who'll be 100 this month. Happy birthday to your mother-in-law. interested in this beautiful bag. Oh, I hope you are. I hope you check it out. Dive in. Joanne says should be bag, not anagram. I was wondering. I was like, is that it? That maybe that's a new crochet thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm not privy to all the hipness. I don't know. Elaine says, I love having the ability to customize the strap length. Yeah, Elaine was one of my fabulous testers for this pattern. And we're going to look at all of the projects in just a minute. Elaine's is one of them. And Elaine's bag, posted in my community, link in the video description, got so much love. Everyone loved your bag, Elaine. And I think it was the color, because Elaine just used a solid color for the backpack, and it was just on point. It was just a perfect summer coral color, in my opinion. So I think that's why it got so much love. I was really proud to see it. Elaine says, I love how quickly the more open strap worked up. Yeah, I agree. I knew, the oldie but goodie, kind of that tried and true strap that I've used in the past. I love the result. I don't mind. It's the kind of stitch work that some people hate. It's slip stitching, it's chains, and some people are like, oh, but the result is fantastic. I don't mind chaining long multiples. I don't mind slip stitches and things like that, especially when I get a result like on that drawstring strap. But again, I just wanted a different option. And so that's what made me kind of play around with a completely different construction style. Let's work by adding length. And then what do we do to really secure that length with some kind of border? So that's where that came from. And I'm glad you liked it. Maribel says, I love the 2 strap options. Diane is here from Florida. Christy's here from Georgia. Joanne has got all the friends in the comments here. Hello, Star. Good evening. Snagged the bag pattern with the coupon yesterday or the other day. Won't remember. My days are all melted together. I know. I kind of do the same thing. And I'm so glad that you took advantage of that sale. I had a really awesome sale. It was, what was it? It was $20 off $30 or more. So there was a coupon code for it. So all you had to do was add at least $30 in patterns to your cart. You added that coupon code and $20 came off. So you got $30 in patterns for 10 bucks. Yeah, that was a lot of math. I didn't want to mess that up. So yeah, I'm so glad that you took advantage of that. I typically have one huge sale or I mention some kind of sale or coupon in my group every week. So if you're not already in my group, or if you don't have the notifications turned on, the link to that group is in the video description. So come on over. Hello, Cat Lady Wren. Good to see you. Jessica says, what yarn is everyone using for this pattern? I've got Lion Brand Comfy Cotton Blend in stained glass. Okay, that is a perfect question to segue into the next part of this chat. And that's all about the yarn. Okay. So remember I told you guys I had pattern testers working on this. I did. I had a ton of pattern testers. We have 14 finished projects for this bag. And we're going to look at those in just a minute. But let's start with the yarn everybody used. I asked that all of my pattern testers post their projects to Ravelry and link them to the pattern, because that's how we can get all these details like this. We can see all the finished projects. We can see how the, different yarns and different colors worked up, but we can also see exactly what yarns people are using. So again, I used, Karen Cotton Cake. This is kind of an older, smaller version, but I had like a big Karen Cotton Cake. So I had one of those, the giant ones. So I have all that information in the pattern, of course. Even though, I think every year Karen, the brand, comes out with a new type of cotton cake. So you gotta get, up to speed on all the different ones that come out every year. So again, I used that for this. This is one Karen Cotton Cake. I even had some left over. I don't know where my remnant is, but it's somewhere. I had a pretty good bit left over too, wherever it is. So it, very comfortably made one entire bag with a little bit left over. Some people have used Premier yarns, just cotton, angel cakes. There's another one of those cake yarns, a little different, but same kind of concept. Lion Brand Re-Up, Hobby Lobby, I love this cotton. Hobby Lobby, I love this cotton print. Ella Ray Classic Superwash, and Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. Now, those are just some of the yarns that people used as they have made this bag so far, but I do have some recommendations for you. And actually, I wanted to show you guys, I got a couple weeks ago, I was telling you guys I wanted to get this color, this lime green color. And I was like, should I? I don't know. I'm not sure. And you guys were like, yes. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I did it and it's here. So that's what I'm going to be working on with you guys today is a new sample in this color. Lion Brand 24/7 Cotton is the brand. I love this yarn for bags. It is so fantastic. It is a worsted. Is it worsted? Am I lying? It's a medium weight 4 yarn. And I like to go down quite a few hook sizes, and that way there's no slack in the stitches and there's no slack in the fabric. And that way it's going to create the durability of a bag that's not going to have any give. It's really going to last. You know, you don't want to create a bag that it's so cute when you finish it and you go and put some stuff in it and it grows 2 feet. You don't want that to happen. So the kind of yarn that you want to use is a yarn that's durable and that doesn't have any bounce or stretch. I like to do the strength test on my yarn and, you know, really tug on a strand of yarn. And if you can break it pretty easily in your hands, then that may not be the yarn you want to use to create a bag. Because if you can break a strand in your hands, then the stitches and the fabric that you're creating may not have the same durability that you need for a bag that's going to carry stuff, right? Because we need a yarn and a fabric that's going to be durable. So we need to first pick a yarn that's going to be durable. If size matters to you, if you want it to be exact, then yeah, stay in the weight 4 category. But if it's okay, if it's a little bigger, a little smaller, then you don't have to use exactly a medium weight 4 yarn. You can kind of play with that a little bit. Now, does it have to absolutely be cotton? I don't think it needs to be cotton. I like cotton best for bags. I think cotton is a very economical solution, especially for bags like this. So that's why I always go for cotton. And I think cotton, there's always going to be an economical source for weight 4 cotton yarn wherever you get yarn, whether it's in store or online, you should be able to find one. However, can you use acrylic for this? Sure. Can you use some other kind of plant fiber like linen or hemp or, a blend of those? Sure. Again, just make sure that it's a durable yarn. Can you use some kind of animal fiber? I mean, that wouldn't be my first choice for something like this. But again, if you got it and if it's durable, then, you can do what you think works best. But my first choice would be a plant fiber, which is cotton. Other kinds of plant fibers or blends, check it out. Acrylic, fine. Any kind of animal fiber, very last on my list. I don't recommend, but I'm not going to tell you can't. So do what works best for you. So Jessica, hopefully that answered your question. Let me know if you need to know anything more. Elaine says, I know it just popped off. It was so cool. What? The motifs? What? You got to say that again. Either I don't read well or your thumb's got the best of you. Maribel says, how long does it take to make the bag approximately? That's a really good question. And we might be able to get some answers here. This is something that it's not really... Hold on, let me show you. So I'll give you my answer, but then we'll also dig through and I'll show you how you can get other people's answers if they put it. So what I love about Ravelry projects, arguably I love everything about Ravelry projects. Oh my gosh, you're just going to take forever, aren't you? You're going to do it. You're just going to take all day. Okay. So for me, I crochet quickly. I don't know. This I made over, I like to gauge my time this way, over 2 different sessions of binge watching TV. And I typically binge watch TV for an hour and a half, 2 hours. So I don't think this took me more than 4 hours. Again, I crochet kind of quickly. What I wanted to show you, that's not going to do it. What I want to show you, come on now, come on internet. So a lot of people on their Ravelry project, this is arguably a 1 day or less. a few hours or less kind of project. Again, everybody crochets at their own pace. Everybody crochets at completely different, time frames. So, I kind of have to throw that out there. But what I love about Ravelry projects is you can look at these projects and see when people started and when they finished. So if I'm going off of Kelso Crafts finish project of this bag, they started on, it says here, April 24th, and they completed it on May 1st. So, it took them that length of time to start it and then finish it. That doesn't mean it's a week-long project. Maybe it was, a session or two for them, but, maybe, they have a job or kids or whatever. Maybe they forgot about it. So I think that this is another way you can kind of check to gauge how long it takes to make a project. But yeah, something about this size, I would say half day or less. Hopefully that helps. Man, I really drug out that answer. I really wanted you to feel very informed with my answer, though. That's why it took me so long. Elaine, Jessica Elliott. Oh, I bet that would look great. I used a Karen cotton cake. Jerry Sue Tinker is here, but Jerry Sue is having dinner, so they're going to catch us later. Have a good dinner, Jerry Sue. Hello, Amy McKeever. So good to see you. Elaine says, yep, $20 off 30. That was my coupon the other day. I went to look so I could get stuff, but I own everything already, so I can't even come close to 30. You know what? I love that you have tested so many patterns for me that you own all of them just through the testing process. I just could not do this work without people like Elaine, and Elaine specifically. So you've earned all those patterns, my friend. Thank you. Elaine says, oh, that is going to be so cute. Maribel says, that's an awesome color, the lime. I'm so glad you guys think so. Thank you. Yeah, I usually don't use like neon bright colors like this, but I'm making a bag and it's summertime, and you guys know me. I'm pretty basic. I'm pretty vanilla. I wear jeans and a t-shirt, and I wear black and white. So I was like, I can go with a pop of color like neon green. I can do that. So here I am. I'm doing it. All right. Let's see who else is here. Parsh, hello. I'm watching from Bangladesh. Thank you so much for being here and checking in. Elaine, I made mine in one night. Yeah, I think arguably, again, depending on, what a crochet marathon looks like for you, how quickly you crochet. I mean, it's a pretty quick project. I don't think it's going to take, it's not a big, long, extensive project. And what I love about, my crochet style is that you start it, and then there's a very simplistic repeat. It tells you exactly what to do and how to do it. It gives you all the end stitch counts. So even if you're new to pattern reading or the particular stitch, you're getting used to it, you have all of the details and all the information that you need. And then you can kind of live your life. If you're around people and you're having conversations, if you want to binge watch your favorite show, if you want to take this with you on the go and you're out and about, there's not so much counting and marking and all of that. There's not a bunch of math equations. It's pretty straightforward. So I like to think that I've done all the hard work for you. I've worked out all the kinks. You can just get it. We can get it started together. And then you have all the details that you need to be really successful and make something that you love off the bat. Jessica says, yes, answered beautifully. Okay, good. Sometimes I ramble and I do like to give too much information. But it's important that I answer the question, right? Okay. All right. Maribel says that helps. Okay, good. All right. Okay. Now let's look at some of the finished projects. And then I just wanted to kick back and crochet with you guys for a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. All right. I'm going to work up just a few rounds of the 24/7 cotton. And while I'm browsing through all these different projects, if you guys have any crochet questions for me, the floor is open. I love to make these kind of like a Q&A. So don't be shy. All right, so here are all of the finished projects. I love when you guys post more than one picture. I love to go through all the different pictures of, it depends on the project. I want to see the project flat. I want to see it in use. I want to see it on a chair. I want to see it on a bus. I want to see it in all the different ways, right? And I think this is off the bat a perfect example. We see a perfect contrast of this yarn in a solid color. Love things like grays, black, navy, tan, things like that. So here we see, we can see the stitch beautifully. We can see the fabric beautifully. Here, let me make it a little bigger. Little bigger. There we go. So here we see fabric. It doesn't, the fabric isn't lost. The stitch motif is not lost. So, sometimes with certain stitch motifs, like you have to be careful with color because sometimes the color can totally swallow what you're doing. But what I love about granny squares and what I love about the granny stitch is that it's harder to do. It's harder to hide that fabric. So you can go crazy. So here it is in a beautiful solid color. Here it is in this beautiful stripey. Like you can see every few different rows is just, we see that color change. And I love just the contrast of these colors, the yellow and the pink and the purple and the light pink and the dark pink. Here we see a great example of another solid, but their strap is a completely different color. So we see that beautiful contrast. Really nice. And lots of different lighting options. So we can just really get a feel for that bag. Here's one, and I don't know if you guys are noticing, but there are different handle styles used for each one. I told you guys about the two. I say handle, I say strap, I say drawstring. I mean the same thing for all of them. But we can see the different styles. Here's one style used. Here's another style used. So you can also see how those styles look with these to kind of determine which one you like best. Here's another self-striping yarn with a long repeat, really beautiful in those blues and pinks. Here's one, and it looks like they did a very intentional, just a stripe. So it looks like they went a very specific number of rounds in one color and then did a very specific color change just to really kind of stripe. And what I love about that is that this fabric, you can change color every row. You can change color, you can really put a different pattern in itself just by the colors that you use. And here's some more examples of this, okay? This, I don't want to say I have a favorite because I love all of them, but I love this use of rainbow right here. This is a perfect example of just changing colors every round. Completely like this bag, it's the same bag, but it looks completely different than the other ones just because all of those color changes really make this pop in a completely different way. But it's the same thing. So again, just really inspiring to see that. Love that so much. Here's just a solid white one. Let's see, that's the same. Okay. Picture 2, 1 of 3. Oh, they made more than one, but they put it all into the same project. What I like to do, every single project that you make, so every sample that you make, like this is one project. Even though it's the same bag, this is one project because I use this yarn. Okay, that's one project. If I'm making another one, this is a completely new project. So I like to do that just because that way you can designate the yarn, like you can very specifically put all the details for that particular project. Like this project is different from this one, which is different from this one just because of the yarn type, the yarn colors. Like I want all those details. Did you use the same hook? Did you use the same strap? What'd you do different? Like I like that. Here's one. Here's the one from Elaine that I was telling you guys about. And I forgot about this, but it's so cute. Did you see that Elaine, for her drawstrings, she made it into little hearts on each side? That was such a cute picture. And I just appreciate those little details. Like, you did that for me, didn't you? No, that was just for me. No, I just love that. And it made my day to see those little hearts. So cute. And I never think about doing cute things like that. So I really appreciated it. All right, here is one from Michelle Wolf, one of my favoriteest crocheters. I've known Michelle for a really long time. Love Michelle so much. Look at all of these pictures, okay? I love that Michelle just showed us, and here it is outside, and here it is on the concrete, and here it is on fabric, and here it is with a cat, and here it is with the chair. That's what I mean by like, keep going. I love these pictures because it really shows... I wanted to say something corny, like it shows it in a different light. Obviously, it's in a different light, but I love the cat. I mean, it shows me the scale. Look at how it is on the back of a chair. Like I can really get a feel for how this bag is going to be like on a daily basis. So super love that so much. Thank you for all those pictures, Michelle. All right, here's one from Sherry, which is Jade61. Love the striping they used in their bag as well. We can see what looks kind of like a cream color and a green. And again, I mean, you can put those stripes wherever you want. You can stripe it any way you want to. So really loved that so much. Here's one from Laura, the bag queen. Laura makes all the bags and sells them at their local farmers market. So, and Laura always shows us what she's making and what she's selling. So keep us posted, Laura, if this is also going to be a style at your local farmers market. We want to know. I think Laura probably used a cotton cake. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'd have to look, but it looks familiar. Those stripes, the way the striping is worked up with that. Yeah, it looks, I mean, I could be wrong. It could be another yarn, but that's what it looks like. And it is fabulous. Thank you. All right, Monica, another amazing pattern tester. Love the pictures. Again, here, love it. I'm learning things about, man, maybe I should take pictures like this. I love it. Love the mannequin picture because you can see the bag like on a person. You can see the scale and what it looks like. And then here it is on the floor and we can see some contrasting colors. Love that stonewash look of this yarn. That is absolutely gorgeous. Here's one, another, what looks like, is it a self-striping yarn or did they stripe? I don't know, but that is a excellent, just kind of ombre colors. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And last but not least, SJ Country Crochet. It looks like they striped by having one color and then adding another and then adding another. And I just love the way those colors were placed. I think it's really beautiful. And I'm so glad that I have this project to look at and get inspired over. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I think that is it. Maribel says, everyone did such an awesome job. Elaine says, I did. It's a cute way to show the strap and keep it out of the way by putting it into hearts. I thought it was really cute. Parsh, I made your wheat sheaf backpack using Noitar yarn, but mine was smaller due to the yarn variation. The shell stitches were beautiful. Thank you for sharing such easy written pattern with video tutorial. My pleasure. And actually, fun fact, I don't do a lot of video tutorials. So that's one pattern where I was kind of testing out, like, here, let's do a video tutorial for a crochet along that I did. But it's not something that I often do just because I'd rather show people how to read patterns in a variety of ways. Like, I want you to read it in written form. I want you to read it in a chart. So really just kind of giving people more, more knowledge, and that way they can crochet whatever they want and they're not limited. So again, short story long, I don't do that a lot. So it's kind of a unicorn in that respect. Whew. All right. So I think that's everything for this for now. So I'm just going to have up here. Oh, I had too many things. There we go. We'll just keep that up there for now. And I do have a crochet question from somebody. So I'll put this up and we'll kind of chat about this, and I'm going to crochet. Can you guys see me crochet? I thought about that as I had this set up here. I think I'm going to have to be up here while I crochet, and that way it looks like I'm crocheting. Maybe I'll go back a little bit. I got to configure all of my situations. All right. Cat Lady Wren says, I have, hold on. Boy, that is ugly. You guys can see everything, can't you? Yeah. We'll go back to this. Oh. Can I? Come on now. Oh, why is technology so hard? Why? Why you do me like this, technology? What did I do? Oh my gosh. Okay, it is what it is. Wow. I wish it was a better setup. I really wish that for you guys. Can I do this? All right. It is what it is. I'm sorry. But at least you guys can hear me and see me. Cat Lady Wren, I have problems understanding the written pattern. Do you mean this pattern specifically, or do you just mean patterns in general? Because I got tips either way. So I guess I will say first and foremost, if that's just a general, I have problems understanding written patterns. I will say I've got a couple tips for you. So whenever you're reading a crochet pattern, I think it's best before you just pick up yarn and a hook and just dive in. I think that there's a little bit of legwork you got to do to make sure that, you know, it's going to be your speed and it's going to do what you want it to do and all that kind of stuff. And you can kind of understand where it's going. So before the instructions, before like the meat, do this, do that, blah, 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 blah. There should be what I like to call like a cover page. And that's going to tell you everything that the pattern calls for. So the yarn, how much yarn, the stitches, any kind of specialty stitches, any kind of specialty techniques, the hook, the size, the gauge, you know, all that kind of stuff. The notes. So what's important about all of that stuff is that that's going to give you a really clear indication for what's going to be required of you to follow the pattern. So for example, if it, you know, has specialty stitches on there that you've never done before, well, this is going to be a good opportunity before you dive into that pattern to brush up on what that stitch is. So maybe you make a little test swatch, you know, to try to meet gauge or whatever, and just to kind of test it out. Like, for example, maybe the pattern has a popcorn stitch and a bobble stitch, and it has like a single crochet decrease. And you're like, I've never done any of those. Well, the first time you try all of those should not be in the pattern, and you shouldn't necessarily give up on a pattern just because you're like, that has stuff in there that I've never done. I can't do that. Test it out first. Test it out to see, like, do I like doing this? When I see this in the pattern now, I know what to do. I know what it should look like. I know how it should behave. And I think that, you know, again, if it lists all the stitches and all the specialty techniques and you're comfortable with all of those, then really pattern reading is just a matter of following the instructions. And it's kind of like a math equation. It is a math equation, to where after the instructions, it should tell you row 1, okay, here we go, or round 1, whichever one you're doing. And then it should give you instructions. And then there should be some kind of end stitch count that tells you, okay, if you followed all the instructions as I've indicated, this is what you should have at the end. You should have 15 popcorn stitches, you should have 15 double crochet, and you should have 15 chain. Well, 15 plus 15 plus 15 is 45. Do you have 15 popcorn plus 15 double crochet plus 15 chain? Okay. If you do, then check. I finished this row around. I have the correct stitch count. It looks like it, you know, what it should. So really, that's just kind of some very basic pattern reading information, just to help you feel more confident to approach patterns. And hopefully those few tips will help you to get through patterns in a way that you won't feel overwhelmed or you won't feel like you can't do it. You at least have some, you know, some things that you can check off your list to determine, you know, am I doing this the way I need to do it so that I can learn some things. Let's see. Parsh, it would be great help if you made a backpack using t-shirt yarn. Interesting. We don't have a lot of t-shirt yarn options here in terms of commercial like options. And I say that because I like to write patterns using yarns that people can find and people can use. I live in Oregon, so I write patterns for, you know, I think people in my region. I write patterns with things that I can find in my region for other people in my region. But I will say, if you want to substitute, maybe you have a t-shirt yarn, then really maybe you can substitute that t-shirt yarn for patterns. And really it's just from there, maybe a matter of like size and gauge and things like that. So yeah, maybe that helps. Maribel says it looks fine. Cat Lady. Federal and round 1. I'm not sure what you mean there. You got friends in the comments, Maribel. Hello, Butterfly Dreams. Good to see you. Cat Lady says, I tried starting this earlier. If you need specific pattern help with any of my patterns, the best way to get support is to send me an email. My email is on the cover page, the front page of every single pattern that I write. It is a paid pattern, so we are not posting instructions publicly anywhere for a few reasons. First and foremost, it's a paid pattern. Second, it's really difficult for me to help with non-specific questions. So if you can tell me specifically what you need help with, send me an email and I would be very happy to help you. But if you are asking about this pattern and you're saying, I tried starting this earlier, I need help with round 1, then typically how I help people is all the things that I just told you, but also the thing that I do for people that helps them with pattern reading for my pattern, but you can do this with any pattern, is I take the instructions because they're written in paragraph form, and sometimes that's hard to read. So what I like to do is break it out line by line to the comma. And I take those as a specific action. So for example, if it says chain 1, comma, and then you double check that you've did that. Did I chain 1, comma? Great, I'm going to move on. Then it says, whatever it says, right? 3 double crochet, chain 1 in next 17 chain 1 spaces. Okay, that's one, even though you're doing a lot, that's one set of instructions. So 3 double crochet, chain 1 in the next 17 chain 1 spaces. So when you break it up to the comma and you follow each one of those things and you do what it says and you check that off, that should really help you. So visually speaking, if you email me and you say, I don't understand round 1, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reply to your email and I'm going to break it down in that form. And that way, when you're following it, instead of it being in that paragraph format, it's going to be checked off for you. So maybe try doing that first, because that's what I'll give to you. But if you do have any specific pattern questions, I'd be so happy to help you. My email is on the front page of the pattern. All right, so keep me posted. Maribel says, hey, Jeannie. Jessica Elliott says, Selena, did you work in the back loop of the chain in round 1 of the bag? I was thinking about that as I was getting this ready. And I was wondering if that was going to be something I should address. Now, whenever I write patterns, I typically don't specify unless it's going to give the pattern a specific look or not. So whenever I work into a chain, for any stitch, a chain specifically, but any stitch, every single stitch has a right side and wrong side, front side and back side. We can call it either. So whenever you're creating that chain, on the front or right side, it looks like those hearts. And on the back wrong side, it looks like a circle with a line directly through the center. So the reason I'm saying that is that whenever I have a chain and then I have to work into the chain, almost always I will work into the back of the chain for a few reasons. For this particular pattern, I did work into the back of the chain because I want to place my hook into one loop instead of many loops. Also, whenever I place my hook into one loop and work a stitch, it uses the back side of the chain. So then the front side of the chain is exposed, and it just makes counting and stitch recognition so much easier. One of my fun fact, I'm not picking on anyone. I don't mean this disrespectfully whatsoever. This is just my preference. It hurts my eyeballs whenever I see people working into a chain and they use the back loop or something like that. And what I mean by, okay, again, remember the front side of a stitch, it's that heart. Well, whenever you're looking at it, the loop furthest from you is the back loop. The loop closest to you is the front loop. So whenever I see people working into a chain and they only pull from that back loop, it hurts. I feel physically pained Because for me, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to use one part of a chain and then leave the front loop exposed and the back loop exposed, because those don't really match. So for me, stitch counting and recognition is just that much harder. Further, you're going to be working into both sides of the chain. So if you only use the back loop, then the only other option you're going to have on the other side of the chain is to either use the front loop, which is going to give you a really stretchy piece of fabric, or you're going to use the back loop, or the wrong side, the back side of the chain. And when you do that, then the front loop is exposed and it's still a little stretchy. So a lot of information. You guys like it when I just go on for hours, don't you? So Jessica, for this pattern, but for almost any pattern, I will always work into the back side of the chain. And whenever you work into the back side of the chain, you can clearly see how many chains you've worked into. And then whenever you, if you're not going to work into both sides of the chain, you have that beautiful edge that's showing, that is the front loop and back loop, that beautiful heart of the stitch. And then it just has such a nice clean edge. But because we are going to be working into both sides of the chain here, whenever you work in the back first, then whenever you start to work into the opposite side, you can clearly see all of the tops of those chains. And so it's just going to be that much easier to work into the opposite side, but also there's less stretch. So you can try it both ways if you want, just to see on a very small scale. But if you work into only the front side of the chain, there's too much stretch. But if you work into the back side of the chain and leave the front side, there isn't as much stretch. And if you work into the back side and then the front side, again, there's not going to be as much stretch. So that was a lot. Let me know what you think. People have very strong opinions about where you work your stitches into a chain, and I'm one of them. I have very strong opinions. It pains me. I don't think I could do it other ways unless it was going to enhance the design in some way. Parsh, thank you for replying. That granny square backpack is very beautiful. Thank you so much. Butterfly Dreams, what am I making? I am making the granny stitch backpack. I was just, the entire first part of the video was showing you guys more about that, and I do have a link to this pattern in the video description. So after the live, go check it out, all right? Definitely check it out. Cat Lady says, in general, and for this pattern, just, has trouble with pattern reading. Hopefully, though, those details that I shared helped for pattern reading. I've got a love-hate relationship with pattern reading, with crochet, with pattern writers. Everybody who publishes a pattern, they may have their own way of writing things and doing things, but there are some things that should be pretty standard. The things that I outlined, those are pretty standard, and those should be within every pattern. Every pattern should tell you what yarn they used, how much, size, gauge, what stitches they use, what specialty stitches they use. It should give you all those details. And that way, whenever you're reading the instructions, you're already going to know what goes into those instructions. So it's just going to be a little less guessing for you. Oh, Cat Lady says, difference between parentheses and brackets. I've got an amazing resource for you, and a cheat sheet. And I will link you to that cheat sheet on the American Crochet Association blog. So there are 3 different types of repeat symbols in crochet. There's asterisk, bracket, and parentheses. They each mean completely different things. And you may see all 3 of them used within pattern instructions, because different shapes are going to do different things. So, or, not all patterns have the same exact stitch repeat throughout, especially if you're doing something like if a pattern is like a square and the corners are different than the sides, then, you may be starting it and you're working into a corner, and then you're just doing that because that's not like anything else. But then, there's a side, and the side is different than the corner. And then you're getting to a corner again, but from the side to the corner, that's what you're going to repeat 1, 2, 3 times because it's a square, but then you have to finish the square. So that's where you may go, okay, from here to here, it's a bracket. And this is what you're going to repeat 3 times. A parentheses means whatever is in this parentheses, you're going to be doing that within a stitch or a space. So if you see something like 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet into chain 3 space, it means everything in the parentheses, you're going to put it where it tells you to put it, in the chain 3 space, in the chain 1 space. 3 double crochet, chain 1, do that into each chain 1 space across, and it should tell you how many times. That's very important. And then an asterisk is for something in between. Maybe you're going to repeat from asterisk to asterisk on that 4th side of the square because you don't need the corner. You just need the side to side, right? So you're going to go, okay, I see parentheses and brackets and asterisks, and that's why. So I'll give you that cheat sheet, and when you understand what those different symbols are telling you to do, then it makes reading and following those instructions just a little bit easier. So I will post that in the comments when I am done. Hold on, can I do it now? Maybe I can do it now. My internet's always like, I don't want to. But I will put it in the comments for you. And that way you will have it. It's something I search for all the time, so it's just going to pop right up. How to read a crochet pattern with asterisks, brackets, and parentheses. My friend, I'm putting it in the comments for you right here. There is also a cheat sheet, and it breaks down those 3 different things. And if you need help or have any questions, that article is pretty extensive, so keep me posted. Keep me posted. Star says, I like to read patterns all the way through before I start and visualize what the stitch looks like in my head. Yeah, so I didn't say that specifically, but you are absolutely right, Star, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that. So when I gave tips for pattern reading before, like how to just, feel more confident when reading patterns, and I mentioned completely reading the cover page and testing out the stitches and testing out the specialty stitches. Star has brought up a point that I failed to mention before, but after you do all of that, read through the instructions because she's absolutely right. You've got to visualize what it is that you're doing. It's an excellent, not only way to build your skills, but it's an excellent way for you to visualize what the pattern is telling you to do. And that way you can kind of see in your mind as you're following the instructions, as you're actually stitching it up, what you need to do, right? It's like peeking ahead at the road map before you actually get on the road. It's the map of where you're going and what you should do. And that way, when you're following those instructions, it's already a little fresh in your mind, kind of as if you've already done it, even though you haven't. So I'm so glad you said that, Star. That's an excellent point. Angelica, hello. So good to see you. Dawn Tennyson is here. Cat Lady says, line by line sounds good. Thanks. Yes, absolutely. I also have I have pattern reading tips. How to read crochet. Hold on. I'll get you another article. I write lots of articles. How to read crochet patterns. So all the tips that I gave, including that last bit that Star just gave us, should also be in this article. How to read crochet patterns. So everything that I just said, Cat Lady, is in this article, all those little tips, and it even breaks down. Yep. No, this one doesn't. I write a lot of articles. It's not on that one. But yeah, that breakdown of just taking that paragraph and breaking it down to the comma or breaking it down for the repeat. So for example, if there's a comma, that, everything before the comma should go on one line, or everything with some kind of stitch repeat. So if it's bracket, information, bracket, repeat 17 times, that's one line of instruction. But there should be a comma after that. So even though it's a lot of information, it's one piece of instruction, right? So hopefully that helps. All right. Where I missed it. Dawn says, I like working in the back bump first. Okay, we're going back and talking about the chain. Yep. That is my favorite. That's how I teach. That's what I do. My brain tells me that's the most superior way to work into a chain. And I just get so surprised when I see people doing it any differently, working into the back loop instead of the front side of the chain instead of the center loop in the back or the wrong side of the chain. So Again, don't get mad at me, and I'm not hating on anybody. You do whatever you want to do. I'm just saying, for me in my house, we use the back. That's what we do. There is no other way for me. I can't do it. Angelica, about a month ago, I ran into a pattern that used short rows for a sweater that was really confusing for me. I've never seen that before. Interesting. I'm not a knitter, so I don't know what that means. About a month ago, I ran into a pattern that used short rows for a sweater. That sounds like a knitting term. Let me know if I'm wrong. And I don't know, my friend. You may be the expert in that realm. Cat lady, you are welcome, my friend. Keep in touch. Elaine, I was trying to hunt those links down, but I'm too slow switching back and forth on my phone. Oh, don't worry, lady. I'm right here. I got my desktop. I like to do these chats on my desktop, and that, the setup isn't as pretty. It looks like I'm in a garage sale. That's all right. I love my garage sale. It's fine. But also I love doing these live streams like this on my desktop because I can just kind of, click around and get that information that I need. So thank you, Elaine. I appreciate you. Speaking of garage sale space, and I say that with pride because I like garage sales. Did you guys, who here saw my off the cuff rant about, where I create, that I did that video earlier this week? Got a lot of praise. A lot of you guys really resonated with some things that I said. Anyway, me saying working in a garage sale, I don't mean that negatively. So anyway, I don't want you guys to be like, wait a minute. Don't be down on yourself. I love garage sales. All right, Jessica says, I was taught to work through the front of the chain and only learned to use the back bump a year or so ago. So when I learned crochet, I believe I learned to work through the back loop of the front of the chain. And I remember thinking that it didn't make any sense as a beginner. And this is why I'm like, I hate it. I hate it for every reason. Because whenever I teach crochet, whenever I pass it on, I teach that stitches have a face, a right side, and a back, wrong side. Every stitch does, and most fabrics do. Some fabrics are reversible. That's another day. So the reason that's important is that it's important to know what your stitch should look like, stitch anatomy, stitch recognition. That way, when you're learning, you learn, okay, this is a half double for these reasons. This is a single for these reasons. This is a double for these reasons. And I can count the stitches individually, not only from the front of them, but I can flip the fabric over and I know what they look like from the back because they look completely different. And then I can also count from the top of the stitch because the top of the stitch looks exactly like a chain. We can count all those individual hearts. So understanding that about stitches, that's why and whenever we work into stitches in crochet, unless your pattern tells you otherwise, you're always going to place your stitches on top of the last stitches that you did in a row or round, and you're always going to work it in the top of the stitch, which is using the front and the back loop. Unless the pattern tells you otherwise, because you're working around the stitch by doing a post, or because you're ignoring the back loop and only working through the front loop, or ignoring the front loop and only working in the back loop, or ignoring both of those loops and working into the bar behind the back loop. So understanding all of those aspects of what a stitch is, its anatomy and its recognition, it doesn't make any sense to me that we would go through all that trouble to explain all of that and go, but whenever you chain, we're going to do this. That doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why I'm like, why do we teach this? Why are we doing this? And again, it hurts my brain, but you do whatever makes your brain feel good. You do that. Let's see. Oh, there's lots of conversation here. Elaine says, I did. Star, I've seen crochet patterns with short rows. Short rows are usually on the back of the sweater and help the back of the sweater fall at a longer length in the back. That's a technique I'm not aware of. I'm just not aware of it. It's something that, is not in my skill set. So I would have to see it. I would have to see it like in a project, and then you'd have to explain to me what's going on for me to understand that. But thank you. Star knows a lot. Star says, I think. I'll defer to you, my friend, because I will straight up tell you, I do not know. I have zero knowledge on that. Elaine says, I work, game, watch TV, and sleep in my living room. I hear you. I do a lot of those things in like 2 places in my house. Amy says, I saw that live and I loved it. Yeah, where I was all salty about not having a curated space and working in a garage sale. Yeah. Yeah. Angelica says it's for crochet to make the neck part in the back of the sweater taller, I guess. It's literally short rows. Cut the yarn. Place the stitch marker at certain... What? You cut the yarn? You cut the... Oh, like you fasten off, cut the yarn? You guys are going to teach me something today because I am not familiar with this. Somebody's going to have to teach me. Nothing wrong with your space. I agree. There is nothing wrong with my space. I'm embracing it. Star says that sounds more right than what I said. Oh, what Angelica said? Oh, I hear you. Okay. All right. We'll go with that. Angelica seems like an expert on it. We'll defer to you. What were we saying about how did short rows even come up then? Cuz I don't know. I don't know the short rows, so I'm not sure what that's about. All right. When I get to the end of this row, I am done and I'm going to go eat dinner. So if you guys have any more questions, crochet questions, or if you guys want to have any more chat, speak now or hold your peace till the replay, and then I'll answer it when I see it. How about that? We'll do that. Oh, man. Just again, for anybody who's just now joining, I am working on the granny stitched backpack. I initially made this pattern in Karen Cotton Cakes. Absolutely love it. Here you can see all the different, the color striping here. Love it. But then I really wanted to make this bag in a completely different yarn, so I chose Lion Brand 24/7. Love this yarn, talked about it a lot earlier in the video, so definitely go back and check out those little tidbits. But I've never tried like a neon yarn before, and I just kind of thought this would be the perfect project to try this lime green neon yarn. So I'm really excited to get this sample worked up and show it to you guys to see what you think. Maybe it'll inspire you guys to use some neon yarn. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. All right, guys. And on that, I don't see any more questions, comments, feedback. So I'm just going to give a shout out to everybody who was here live. Thanks for crocheting with me on this Friday night. Thanks for being here, Star and Elaine, Angelica, Amy McKeever, Elaine, Jessica Elliott, Parsh, Butterfly Dreams, who else was here? Maribel, a few more shout outs, Christy, and one more shout out to Cat Lady Wren. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, tag a crochet friend in the comments if you think they'll dig this too, or share this video in at least one place that you enjoy crochet if you think they'll dig it too, especially if you think they'll like any of these tips or this pattern. Peace, love, crochet, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.